So the $3.5 trillion, just so you know, they've already compromised a lot on the 3.5. I mean, because Bernie's at like 80 trillion. So $3.5 trillion is, I mean, that we should really be thankful, I think. I don't know why you're not more positive about. No, were there already cuts? Was it above $3.5 trillion at one point, according to the Washington Post?
Yeah, good morning, Joe. I'm not a big fan of Orwellian control of the language, but if I could change one thing about the English language, it would be to get rid of the word trillion because it makes it sound so small when it's only $3.5 trillion. It's $3,000 billion. Exactly. It's an incomprehensibly large sum of money. And I watched Bernie Sanders on TV over the weekend throwing around numbers like they were candy. And essentially, that's what's happening. I think you'll see it compromise more. As much as I'd like to think that other things in Washington, D.C., the debt ceiling, the government runs out of money at the end of September, might get in the way of this passing, I can't help but get the feeling that something along the lines of what you saw introduced last night with these tax increases will pass before the end of October.
What is Manchin? What do you think his number is? Do you think he says, I mean, he'd do a half, I guarantee you that. And then we're all supposed to go, oh, well, thank God, it's only, it's under $2 trillion, under 2,000 million.
Yeah, and if they were asking for 10 trillion and he wanted 5, then we would be thankful to him, right? Look, I read this weekend where Ron Klain, my successor in the White House as chief of staff, said that they usually always get Manchin at the end of the day. When the chief of staff is telling you that's not guesswork. And if you listen very closely to what Senator Manchin is saying, it's like he can't vote for 3.5 trillion. We ask him what he can vote for. He says, I can't vote for 3.5 trillion.
Exactly.
So, yeah, if there's a number end up about 2.5, 2.8, yeah, is that still outrageously large? Yes. Keep in mind the budgeted expenditures of the federal government every year are about $1.5 trillion. So you're talking about in a single bill that hasn't even been introduced yet. There's not been a single hearing on it. There's no public debate on it, at least twice the size of the ordinary budget of the United States.
They can only lose 3 in the they called him very persuadable. I think Klain called Manchin very persuadable. They can only lose 3 in the House, but they never lose 3. We have Congressman Gottheimer coming on today. I mean, talk like folding like a cheap suit. I mean, I don't know if we'll talk to him about that today, but he's not going to be one of the 3 that don't go for it. I'm sure that they're going to be. Democrats are good at staying together on these things. It's much better than
Josh a couple times though, and Josh seems like he's pretty solid. Keep in mind, what do you not see in the bill so far is any changes to the state and local tax deductions, which several Democrats have said they have to vote for it. So no, I actually think there's more likelihood of a defense in the House than there is in the Senate. But your point is well made, is that Nancy Pelosi runs a tight ship over there, and the chances of her getting enough votes is probably pretty good.
Yeah, I mean, if you like watching someone that wields power effectively, you got to love her. Pretty amazing. Your point is that corporate America is a person without a country. At this point, they've gotten so woke to try to pander to the left that they don't fund Republican candidates. They use all the right terminology. So who do they have left? I think it's one of the fundamental. The far left is not their friend.
Yeah, when you go back and look at mistakes that Wall Street has made in Washington, D.C. over the course of the first 9 months of the Biden administration, I think the lesson you need to learn is that once you sell your soul, it's really hard to buy it back. And right now, Wall Street, the Chamber of Commerce, the BRT don't have a lot of friends in Washington, D.C., which is a dramatic departure from the past when corporate America would sort of have friends on both sides. But they've thrown entirely in with a Democrat Party. They were convinced by some that Trump was evil, and they had to have somebody more centrist, more stable in Joe Biden. Yet now they're looking at dramatic tax increases with very few friends in Washington, D.C. That's a mistake on the part of many corporations. And I'd be curious to see how high a price they pay for how they've conducted themselves in the first 9 months.